Hi guys, so yesterday we had a rally at the state capitol protesting the lockdown on the state of Montana. The paper said we had about 600 people. I'm not sure, I'm really bad counting heads. Seriously, if somebody held like a hypothetical gun to my head and asked how many people were there, I'd probably say more than 50 and less than 1,000. So that's the best I've got for you. But I did make a little clip show of the highlights, so here we go. I hope you enjoy them.
Open up the businesses!
We need to open up our businesses.
I'm the pastor at Fellowship Baptist Church in Sydney. I woke up this morning and saw on Facebook that the health nurse for Carter County, Montana, told people to call my local police station and to tell on our church for gathering today in the parking lot and having a picnic in our cars. Now that's just part of what we faced week after week because we've continued to gather even though there's some social distancing involved. In other parts of the country, they have warned citizens that protesting is not an essential business. My friends, here's where we're at. I don't think it's wicked to go to church on Sunday morning. I don't think it's wicked for a man to put on his boots and go to work on Monday morning. I don't think it's wicked to engage in commerce. I don't think it's wicked to engage in prayer publicly. These are not wicked things, and so the government has the right to punish the wicked according to the Holy Bible, but it is God who gets to determine that which is wicked and that which is good. We're told that we should render unto Caesar that which belongs to Caesar. And I'm looking out on the crowd, and I'm betting that most of you pay your taxes, right?
Yes.
Most of us do anything we could for our community. As a matter of fact, we give until it hurts. In my church, we take groceries to the housebound, and those can't get out because they're susceptible to the virus. We provide food from our food bank every single day of the week. We pay our taxes and do what we can, but this has to be the theme of today, at least in my country opinion. And that is, we will render unto Caesar that which belongs to Caesar, but we will not render unto Caesar that which belongs to God.
I'm here because I believe that as Americans we need to remember why we left Europe and why we left the countries we came from, and that we are free citizens, not under a dictatorship or monarch. We govern ourselves and that we made laws, and that it's our duty to uphold those laws. And to remember that we pay the wages of our public servants. Our public servants don't dictate us, but we dictate them. And if we don't make stands, then everything that we fought for and stood for as a country, we become just like what we left. I think the virus is real, but I think that death is real. As one friend told me, death is 100%, and if we live life in fear, we only live for death instead of life, and we should be living life fully. And yes, we should always be cautious and respectful of those who are immune to promise. My mom was immune to promise. But we cannot ever let fear dictate our lives, and we can never stop living because we fear death.
Do you have a message for Governor Bullock today?
Yeah, don't run for Senate.
98% is the greater good. The 2% that may have died or may die doesn't justify death for the rest of us.
The Constitution doesn't end just because there's a sickness going around.
Exactly.
What would you say to people who are worried about the virus and say you're being irresponsible? What would you say to
If they're
that?
worried, they can stay home. It doesn't really affect young people too much, so let the young people go back to work. Let's not make the cure be worse than the cause. Or I didn't say that.
Worse than the disease?
The governor is killing our state. My business is open. It's so-called essential, but everybody else might have something virtually. We miss our restaurants. We miss seeing our friends. It's ridiculous. We can all safely carry on business. We're not New York City. This is Montana. We need to get it done.
By what authority do they shut us down? What law?
You quarantine the sick. If you quarantine everybody else, you're just a tyrant with the sick person. I mean, my gosh.
It's not us healthy people.
This isn't anything new. What's new is what they've done. That's the only thing that's new, because they suddenly felt emboldened. Technocrats think that they rule the day, and none of them are elected. Follow the Constitution,
Leave us the hell alone.
and it's only when they begin to meddle do we have a problem. Otherwise, average American goes on about his business day in and day out, never has any issues. First time I've ever felt compelled to come out in public and do something. I served my country for 21 years. I figured that was statement enough, but this is crazy.
Everyone should just use their common sense, stop being controlled by fear and manipulation.
I'm just saying.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Stand beside her and guide her. From the mountains to the valley to the ocean, white with snow.
Wow, she can sing.
I was America, my home sweet home.
Just wanted to get out and let people know that people are tired of the state being shut down and unconstitutional. There's been a lot of people that have been hurt already. I know some small businesses that are going to close and not reopen.
Yeah.
One of them being a restaurant in Havre. So those people are out of a job.
All we did was start a brush fire. All these people were looking for a way to express themselves. I've sold a lot of things in my life, and I didn't have to sell this rally one little bit of our state's politicians and where they gather.
Stop politicizing the issue. It doesn't freaking matter. It doesn't matter if you're Republican. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat. Focus on the issue. Stop trying to divide our nation more than it's already divided.
We're ready to go back to school and to see a lot of the people I care about, and to maybe try and fix some of the things that were taken away from us that, like the other classes, we're not going to get them back next year. We're not getting another senior prom. We're not getting another graduation. And the depression rates are through the roof right now, especially with people my age, because so much is being taken away from them. And I think that is worse than the actual virus is. And I am afraid that eventually it will end up killing more people than this virus ever will.
A government that has the authority to shut everything down when there's a crisis. Normally you would see that in a very authoritarian type of government, such as communism, fascism, they have the absolute power to step in and shut things down in a crisis. A free society, you're technically not supposed to be able to have that power, even for safety, because a government that is big enough to have that power also has the power to say, we are really concerned about population size, so we have mandated you can only have one child, and even then, we're not going to let anybody but a few of the elite actually procreate. So it's something to keep in mind. How much safety do you want? Do you want a government that can just step in and close businesses down? I also want to say, I know people say, well, we have a free society, we've got a great government. Our government does not have the best history when it comes to reacting well in crisis, when it comes to people's safety. I think back to the 1940s. On the West Coast, people were very concerned that Pearl Harbor had just happened. They were concerned that the Japanese were going to come over and attack them on the West Coast. We were at war with Japan, so it was a, it was a valid concern. And the government's solution was like way out of left field. I mean, they decided they were going to go and snatch up all the people that were Japanese Americans and put them in a camp for the duration of the war. These people had built businesses, and their businesses were totally destroyed. Their entire way of life was destroyed. And I'm sure their hearts were absolutely broken, and nobody stood up to say, hey, we shouldn't do this. This is wrong. But now in the history books, when we go back, we're like, that's awful. I can't believe they did that. But today we are closing down millions of businesses out of a very real fear we have. But I wonder if in the history books, what side of it we're going to come out on. I think it's important, people, to remember that your rights end where somebody else's begins. So if I need a kidney, I can, ask people out of their affection and love for me to please donate a kidney. But it would be wrong for me to say, you know what, we need to have a law in place where there's a registry of what, certain matches for a kidney. And if somebody needs a kidney, it is mandated that if you have a match, you are required to give that kidney. You will be forced from you. That would be wrong, and I think we all grasp that. So our rights end where someone else's begins. What I would suggest doing is taking a sign and just going to your, your county building, state capitol, if you want to come here, and have the sign that says, I disagree with the lockdown, ask me why. And give people a chance to dialogue with you about why you feel the way you do. I would be very compassionate. Debating the virus is the wrong way to go. This virus is so new, and there's so many new information coming out about it. Nobody really knows. I mean, day by day it changes. So until we've got some time under our belts with this virus around, I don't think we're going to have all the answers to it. So right now people are really, emphasizing one side or the other of what they already think. So you really just kind of get on a circle with the argument with that. But I would emphasize the concerns regarding, do you have the right to do that even in a scary situation? And so I would explain that, and I would also not make it political. We all know that there are people entrenched on the right and people entrenched on the left, and though they are not moving. So you are not going to convince somebody who is Republican to become a Democrat. You're not going to convince a Democrat to become a Republican. I don't think that happens very often because things have become, that line between the two parties has just become huge. And I think it's important to remember that the majority of Americans, myself included, are independents. So if you say, well, Donald Trump says this, that's not going to mean a whole lot to anybody who isn't way over here. Okay? So don't say things like Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi, whatever super politically charged things. Yeah, that's what I got to say about that. Anyway, so thank you guys. It was a great rally. People were so incredibly polite. Montana is just amazing in that way. And I think we just keep being persistent. We keep showing up. We let our representatives know that this needs to change because we are done with this. The government of the United States needs to get pushback for this kind of stuff that they are doing.